Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm Bill Hannon, your host for tonight. I have with me two co-hosts, Kathy Costa and Patty McCarrahan. Tonight we have the honor of being able to talk with Ron Lizotte, a teacher and a man who's interested in healing on many different levels. And I'd like to start off the evening with just welcoming Ron here to be able to share with us what his interests are.
Thank you. So I have many gifts. So I just listen to Spirit, and I'm guided by Spirit. Sometimes I get messages early in the morning. Whatever it is, I'm self-taught. I've been given the name by angels. I'm known as the one of the pure heart. Recently, I've been blessed with just 3 months ago. I have a teacher now. So he's known as the one who knows. And mostly what he's just encouraged me to do lately is this, to trust. And to don't doubt, just listen. And of course, we've all learned to listen. We know what happens if we don't.
Yes.
The messages get more louder and more persistent. So I do have a variety of different things like I'm involved in. So where I am, I've been there for 33 years in Pasco. On my property, I have a sweat lodge. I have 3 fire pits. I have a teepee. I have an amphitheater. I have a prayer hut. I have a 7-path labyrinth. And I have a 50-foot diameter medicine wheel with 28 spokes.
Wow.
So it was built with love for people to come and find peace and to heal. And the energy there, I can tell you, is phenomenal. That's from other people telling me that. So I have different kind of events. It's kind of slowing down. We're getting into the end of the season now, but I have drum circles. I have a men's spiritual group. There's 3 women that I've been working with for over 5 years. Sometimes we do the work on my property. Sometimes we go to Narragansett. We mostly meet on new and full moons. I have events at my house. I have sound healing. I have, sometimes it's gongs. I host different kind of events where we do a variety of different things to give people, most of the time I call it reconnect with nature. So when you get out in nature, it's an easier way to connect than being in a building. Some of the things that we do, we'll drum. We'll do an hour ceremony where we plant a peace tree every year. And we go around the circle, and I'll usually start and we put our intentions into the roots to bring peace around the world.
Okay.
We'll go in the medicine wheel and do an hour ceremony. I will explain a little bit about what the medicine wheel is and what it's used for. We'll usually set an intention, which is everything. And we'll do a 15-minute meditation. And then we'll go around the circle and I do everything sunrise. And we'll all just, go around and say what we got. And usually it's always related. So I wear a lot of different hats.
Now, what
Although
do you
that's
mean?
quite
Literally
a,
and figuratively.
that's quite a hat you're wearing today.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you.
So what do you mean though when you said for the medicine wheel that people usually get everything? It's like different kinds of messages? Or
Yes.
different, okay.
Yes, but they're related.
Oh, to each other. The messages to each
Yeah,
other.
so
okay,
whatever
okay.
the intention was that we set, that we meditated on,
Oh, okay.
usually almost everyone's connected. It's
Okay.
when we go around the circle and share, whatever came through.
Okay.
Which is really, So medicine wheels go back thousands of years.
Okay.
They come basically from South America, and they came up through Central America and North America. There's still remnants of them all the way up near the Rocky Mountains, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, into Canada.
Okay.
They were from different tribes. So Spirit guided me, so I built this one 4 years ago. Spirit told me I needed a medicine wheel on the property. That wasn't there. So I just listen and I do that.
Yeah.
Recently I was just told to make a prayer hut. So
What is a prayer hut?
So that's where I would go to get direction.
Okay.
It's a sacred place where you connect to Spirit.
Okay.
So, when I do healings, I don't go out to seek to do healings, but if someone comes to me, there's many different ways. I think the most powerful gift I have has always been listening. Lots of times people just need
To be listened to, yeah.
to need that someone, and I've been sought out many times, like just when we're going through our daily life.
Okay.
People just come to me and they just like, you're the one. They just have to tell you their story, and so if you're a good listener, that's healing in itself. Just taking that few minutes, but I know it's not me doing the healing. It's God working through me. I'm just a vessel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm all self-taught, whatever I've learned and whatever I've done.
Okay.
But I've learned to be in the silent, to connect and listen, and just be guided. And trust is the bottom line.
Right. You're the embodiment of 2 ears and one mouth.
Well, I did a medicine wheel on the Big Island. I took classes, so I had a shaman that did the work with me. And the stuff that came up and my understanding of relationships with certain people and stuff like that was so incredible. We went back to the group. We did a ceremony, like you said. Then we went out and we worked on it individually. And then we went back, and it was so crazy because almost the whole group worked on some family relationship stuff that was absolutely beautiful, just understanding where someone else was coming from versus where we were coming from. And it was one of the most healing things that I ever had happen. It was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. So I can't even imagine having one in my backyard. Now I want one.
Well, Ron, could you, you mentioned your morning, could you give us a little insight as to how your day starts, what your ritual may be?
So I basically get up between 5 and 5:30 every day. First thing is go put a coffee pot on. And then just wash my face, and I do that 4 times for the 4 directions, and then I do prayer.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's like 20 minutes to a half hour of prayer. I always have to look at the weather, because I'm an outdoor person, so I don't watch the news, but I turn it on just to get the weather, and then I'll watch something on YouTube and have that most important first cup of coffee to wake up. Then I do some exercise, have a second coffee, an oatmeal shave, and then I go out and I do 15 to 20 minutes of prayer in the medicine wheel, 15 to 20 minutes of prayer in the labyrinth. It doesn't matter if there's 2 feet of snow, I will wear snowshoes.
Okay.
It can be wind howling and 5 degrees, I'll wear a nice warm coat. It can be pouring, I'll wear a raincoat. But if I'm home, I faithfully go out there every day.
Yeah. So what's the labyrinth? What is that? What does that do?
Labyrinths date back to medieval times.
Okay.
So it's for prayer and meditation also.
Okay.
So when you walk up, mine's a 7 path, there's a sign that says intent. So let's just say your grandmother was in the hospital and going to have an operation that morning. Your intention might be something like, I am asking that she would get the right doctors and nurses, and that the operation will go smoothly and be successful, and that she will heal rapidly and be back home with her family. So that would be maybe your intention for your grandma, and then you would slowly just walk and keeping that intention in your mind and saying prayer, and then you end up in the center, and you would just stay in the quiet for a certain amount of time, whatever you feel comfortable. Yes.
So I have a question. It's something you shared with us in the prayer group, the men's group, is that there's a couple of little phrases you say after you express intent or you say a prayer.
Yes, so thank you for hearing my prayers. Thank you for answered prayer. Very important. And so lots of times when I do group prayer with other people, no matter what it is, we might all be praying for the same thing, or we might be doing things for separate. We just ask to go into the Christ conscious and be present with the oneness, and just ask for the miracle to happen, and just trust and know that it does. So that's why at the end we'll do a meditation for, sometimes they're 7 minutes, sometimes they're 10, 15, whatever we decide. And then at the end, it's always thank you for answered prayer and thank you for hearing my prayers.
Beautiful. How often do you do the sweat lodge?
I don't advertise, I don't go out and look for people, so people come to me. So there was one girl that had a lot of issues that I did a lot of physical healing with her, but then we had to go inside. And so that was a month ago I did one with her, and actually I just had someone come to me Saturday that someone referred to me, and I did some work with her, and then she called me today. She's coming back Thursday, and we decided to change, and I diagnosed what she needs is she needs a sweat. So I'm gonna do one this Thursday. So we normally go in for an hour.
An hour.
Yeah.
So it says as needed basis.
Yeah, so a sweat is, so for those of you who don't know, it's a small round dome. So natives in the past would use animal hides. So we just use canvas and stuff today.
Okay.
You can fit 4 or 5 people in there. There's a hole dug in the ground in the center. So the stones are heated in a campfire close by, and then you just use a pitchfork. So sometimes if it's a larger group, you actually have what they call a fire keeper, and he brings the stones in. And if they need to be refreshed, and then I'll use sacred well water with sweetgrass cut up, sage sometimes, and you splash it on the stones.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
it's a very powerful purification.
Cleansing, yeah.
It's a cleansing. It cleanses your soul. I mean, any toxic metals or anything you may have, it just.
Takes a lot.
No.
Yes.
I do it meditatively, but I've never done it physically, and I'm very intrigued by it. I don't know how I do in the heat, because I'm a hot flesh to begin with, but yeah.
So we
it's
have to be
beautiful.
careful. So
Yeah.
and people with asthma and stuff like that, you have to be,
Mindful of any limitations.
Yes, so natives always, they did this, for hundreds of years. They always did it near a lake or a stream or a river. I mean, you want it as hot as you can, stand it. And when you come out, I mean, if there's snow on the ground, you actually can roll in the snow. But I have an outdoor shower for cold water to cool yourself down. So most people, will wear a bathing suit. But very important, drink a lot of water before you come and do that, and then a lot of water, because you will,
after that,
and you will lose weight, and
And it will take the toxins out of your body, right?
Yes, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's very healing.
Now, one of the things you had mentioned was a 7 or 10 minute prayer. I found that to be very powerful when you've incorporated that in our little get-togethers. Could you like just give a little more insight as to, you know, how you set up the intention or?
It depends. Everyone has needs, wants, but needs is so like if we have a loved one that's going through something, if we have someone in the group has someone, we will set the intention with whatever it is to need to be healed, to be accomplished. And so we work with those, so I will hold the light and ask those from the other side to open the door and ask those to come in and help us. And it's basically like a two-way street.
Nice.
We have to ask. And so they ask us to hold that light and open that door. So we'll set the intention and ask that for whatever healing needs to be done. So we ask for the Christ conscious, to be in the present of oneness, to do what needs to be done to heal this person. And there can be lots of different things. But that will be our intention, and most of the time it's 7 minutes. Someone
Right.
whose technology, which I am not, will just time it on their phone for 7 minutes, and
Yeah,
we
well,
will
you've
go
done
into
well
that.
with that. You've done well with that.
Nice.
So then we, and then sometimes we share. It can be very personal, so we don't always.
Yeah, you don't
Right.
force
I'm always, because most of the time I don't always like to lead, but because I do, I will always be the example, and I will usually say what I get, and to encourage other people to share.
Right.
But lots of times they don't want to, and they don't have to. That's not.
Well, the power of this, especially when you finish up, thank you for hearing our prayer. Thank you for answering our prayer. You're setting the intent that asking you shall receive. And when we actually, the first time we did it, one of the men in the group was concerned about an issue with his brother, and we all focused on that issue. And after the prayer was over, he actually got a text from his brother, who couldn't communicate with him because he's deaf. So he texted him, and the very thing that we asked for a few minutes earlier
Love it.
was granted.
Love it.
Yes.
Now, how did you get involved in this? Was it something that you grew up with, or
No.
is it something you brought into your life?
No, I brought it into my life. So just like 20 years ago, curiosity, I awoke, I guess you could say, and slowly, but I retired 5.5 years ago. And so since then, I've become much more connected because I have the time.
I can feel
to
your
listen.
energy. It's incredible.
Thank you. So I just found the time. So a lot of the things, though, I do, I didn't choose.
You gotta tell
But
us.
I can tell you from working with those women for 5 years, this year we were apart. One was in Florida, one was in Texas a lot. So we would do a conference call almost every day, January, February, March, April, into May. And we would do a meditation on a conference call. And so the four of us were connected. I think we missed 3 days in that time period.
Wow.
So lots of times we would just, at the end of, sometimes it was a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, we would just say, God, show us what you want us to do. We just surrender to God. Show us what you want us to do.
Surrender.
Tell us what you need us to do. So that's so I just listen and do what I'm supposed to do. I also get powerful visions of the future. And we're in a critical, pivotal year right now. And a lot of it has to do with astrology and astronomy. the way the planets aligned. We all have to learn as human beings to put our differences aside and become one, because we are all one. We are all brothers and sisters. And we have to put our differences aside, and we all want the same thing. Most of us are just trying to get there in a different way.
Yeah.
So if we can learn to put our differences aside and just go into love, which is the only way, we are creating a more beautiful earth by being more compassionate, being more loving, more understandable, more respectful, and just allowing for that to come through. And so if we all practice and be the example of pouring out love and opening our hearts, we all have the ability to heal this world. And it's happening right now, as I speak this very moment.
And you know what it is too, where you're being a good example for the children. So the children, they're opening up very young to all this stuff, and it's such a beautiful thing to see.
Yes, the kids get it.
The kids get it right off the bat. It took us a
Yes.
long time to get kicked in the butt before we figured it out. But
Yes.
the kids get it.
No, the kids get it. They're already awake. And when we were kids, we were just, that's how we were. And so there's a lot of reasons, but there are going to be things that happen right now that we just need to not connect to. There's the financial system is going to break. It needs to be fixed. The medical, the insurance companies, the educations, we could go on and on. It has to crumble and break so we can fix it and build new. But we cannot get caught up in. We just have to observe, not go into fear. We cannot go into fear. And anyone who comes to us that's in fear, we need to be able to calm them down and let them know it's okay. This is divine planning. It has to happen. And our Earth Mother is also showing us. She is going to show mankind who is really in charge. So we are going to see, unfortunately, though, we are going to see more fires. We are going to see more floods. We're going to see earthquakes. We're going to see volcanoes. We're going to see some tsunamis, because she's
going through a purification, whether
Yes.
it's by fire or water. She's
Yes,
going through a
and
purification.
yes, and she's going to show mankind, like who's
Boss, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So Native people have always understood and lived in harmony with nature, and only took what they needed and wasted nothing. And man, for some reason, thinks we know better, and we do not. And so it's all being corrected now. And we have to get back to nature.
Right.
And that was one of the big lessons and good things that came from COVID.
Right.
People, because they couldn't go to work, they couldn't go to sporting events, they couldn't go anywhere. They learned to go back out in nature, and many of them reconnected with nature.
Now, before I continue along that line, what you were just saying, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, do you have like a website or an email or?
I do have an email, but that won't really help you because I don't look at it.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page that people, my daughter and others put up for me, so it's called Tall Pines Amphitheater. It's on Facebook, but I don't normally look at that. People look at it for me. My best way of getting in touch with me is my phone number. And I don't text either. So I do get text messages, but I don't text.
Right.
In spirit, this tells me I don't, that's not important. I don't need you to learn that. I got other things for you to do, so I don't. So my phone number is 401-255-9526.
Okay.
Get a hold of him and
Well,
get him to come.
Yes,
Just go right ahead and say that again, because I want to make sure everybody gets it.
401-255-9526.
Tall Pines is the one that's on
Amphitheater. Tall Pines Amphitheater on Facebook.
You see, that's what I messed
So
up.
that's when I
you
have
told me Tall Pines,
events.
I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about a website, and I couldn't come up. I started getting all these other sites, and I said, oh, what the heck?
So it's like tall, like in height, and then the word pine is like the
Pines.
tree?
Pines,
Yes.
Okay, so-
P-I-N-E-S.
Yes, okay,
Right,
Yes.
very good.
okay.
Very good. So, one of the things that you share with me, and I have no idea if you want to expand on it, but you've been out with your teacher, and you've been actually been finding burial mounds and stuff like that.
Yes.
And you've been getting information.
So my teacher used to work for many towns in Connecticut, and when a contractor would want to come in and develop an area, he would go out and make sure there was no native grave sites. So most native grave sites, especially if it was a medicine person, they're large piles of stones, just small stones. They would pile them up, and they would put lots of stones. So I've always dowsed with a pendulum. My teacher wants me to get better with the L rods, which are brass. So he brings me to these sites, and he has me dowse them, and then he checks my answers. So he's a master dowser, along with his wife. So I can tell you when I go to a grave site now that's Native, first of all, I ask if it's Native American, I ask if I may approach. So I can tell you the person, what tribe they're from. I can tell you if it's a male or female. I can tell you how old they were when they passed and crossed over. I can tell you how old the grave site is. I can tell you if it's a medicine person or woman. I can tell you if it was a warrior, if it was a peace or a war chief. And then he checks my answers. And I haven't gotten anything wrong yet. So I've been doing it right.
Yeah.
So he's just encouraging me. So he wants to pass that knowledge and other things on to me. He's 75 years old now. So he has 5 children. They're not interested in learning. So he's been looking for someone, and so we were supposed to meet. Spirit brought us together.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I'd just like to take a moment to thank you for sharing this with us, and I'd also like to thank the audience and our, TV audience for tuning us in and hopefully being able to absorb some of this knowledge that was shared here tonight. So thank you for coming, Ron.
Thank you for having me.
And we
Thank
still
you.
have a couple minutes that we can talk, but I just want to get that out of the way.
Okay.
So, right, so that's good that, you've got so many different aspects to basically you feel is making you more of a complete person.
Yes, I'm fulfilling my purpose.
Right.
And that's what we're all here to do is to find what our purpose is and to fulfill it, which I know that we were all brought here at this time to do, at this critical time in history. 30, 40, 50 years from now, maybe not us, but our children will look back at this time in history right now and the decisions that we made that is birthing this new earth.
Right.
So do you think the spirit would tell you to do something more in your backyard? I don't know how full your backyard is though, but I know you have a few things going on there.
I'm sure at some point
Okay.
there'll be something else. Yes. I'm always getting to forks in the road.
Okay.
And so I